So welcome everyone to the Juvenile Hub podcast. It's my pleasure to have Dr. Debbie Phillips from the Quadrillion and Mike Weller from Intelligence Consulting Partners. We've put together a series of podcasts specifically on situational awareness, safety programs, active threat mitigation. We feel like this is such an important topic that our industry needs education on. And education that you can take action on, things that you can do now, as well as resources that are going to be available to you at the conclusion of each of our programs. So thank you for being here. So good to have both of you here. So today's topic is, do you have a safety program in place? So let's kick it off with our first question. Why should a property management company have a safety program in place? Maybe we can start with you, Mike, on that topic.
Yeah, Jonathan, it's pretty interesting when we sit here and talk about some of the basic foundation, fundamental things that we need to have in place. I mean, we're faced with a lot of tragedies and crisis around the national, around the regions. And it's important for us to recognize that having a plan in place certainly helps to assist those around us in being prepared in the event that these emergencies happen. We talk about crisis, and when people go into crisis mode, they're either going to panic or they're going to go back to what it is that they've been trained to do. And I think it's important for us to recognize having that plan, having that structure in place is going to allow for all of us to have a solution to a problem. It may not be the exact solution we're looking for, but it's certainly a solution, which is better than nothing. And I'll talk about some stuff as we progress through this.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mike. Dr. Debbie, what are your thoughts?
Well, I come today so thankful that we are all joining in this conversation. And I think I shared in some previous conversations, this really got my attention when I was involved in an active shooter event in 2021. And like most of us, I was going through my day. My head was buried in my laptop and I was on autopilot. And ladies and gentlemen, I will never forget that day as long as I live. And so I am just honored to be here with Jonathan and Mike to talk about this, because if we can just increase our awareness, being present and not distracted. So my whole purpose in being here is to just get us to look up and to take note of our surroundings. So I am just excited about this conversation. We need to be having this conversation every single day.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I look forward to it as well. It's like there's so many different things that we talk about from a safety perspective. Plenty of OSHA topics that are out there, and just common sense items for the most part. I mean, even like fire drills and fire alarms, they're all common. And I like your comments, both of you. It's like sometimes you just get into a mindset and you don't have that kind of like trigger, so to speak, that's prepared for a situation that could arise. So thank you so much. So Mike, back to you. How does having a safety program in place help prevent a potential crisis?
Well, it goes back to this. I think Debbie brought up some very, very valid points, is that sometimes we lose focus with just the most basic concepts. And we get so caught up in our day-to-day activities that we lose what we call that situational awareness, just knowing what's happening, right? What's occurring. I mean, somebody walks past me that could be the next problem or whatever is going on. And I'm just so buried, as Debbie said, into my laptop or into my cell phone nowadays, right, that I'm losing that edge. And in order to have that edge, and here's the biggest thing, Jonathan, right? What we don't want to do is we don't want people to be in fear in their lives, right? We want people to live a robust life within our environment, but at the same time, being able to be focused on those things that could be tragic. And here's a simple thing: it's having a strategy in place. And one of the things I talk about a lot of times is this: is that we all travel around and we all spend time in hotels, and as we spend time in hotels, if a fire or something were to occur, do we have a strategy in leaving that hotel room? Do we look at the plan on the back of that door that they provide to us to say, hey, this is where I need to go to? And more importantly, I'll go one step further. Do people take it to the next level and actually walk down to see, is that stairwell available? Is that stairwell really there? Is it under construction? There's been horrific events that have happened nationally where people are creatures of habit. We're going to go and come in the directions that we typically have come and gone, and not realizing that there's an exit door just to my left or just to my right, and I could get out of there and escape this. So it's about having that intuition, I guess, for lack of better terms, of insight and looking into some of these additional things to establish. And we're talking about from an internal part of a business as well, but this is external, right? The more we challenge ourselves with these concepts, the better person we're going to be, and the more we're going to see kind of the world in HD, if that makes sense.
Oh, I love it. That's an awesome perspective. Thank you for that, Mike. Dr. Debbie, what are your thoughts?
Well, again, and I don't want to keep going back to my defining day, but I have to remind us all that we're only as strong as our default. And I talk about 3 areas: mindset, skill set, and action. My mindset that day, going into that airport, I was no more aware of my surroundings. I was going through the TSA. My immediate thought was, how quickly can I get into my laptop and jump into those emails before my flight takes off? So the mindset, the skill set, thankfully now with Mike and Pete, and the programs that we have done recently, my head is on a swivel. When I walk into a room now, I look for an exit. I think about sitting on an end cap. When you have something catastrophic in your life, it changes you. And it can change you for the good, or it can change you for the detriment. But I use that day as a reset. And so Mike and Pete, and through their training, they have taught me just some simple strategies. And I hope that in this program and in future programs, we can talk about this. And the more we talk about it, the more it just kind of bakes into our psyche.
Yeah, very good. Love both of your perspectives, because it seems all too often, it's like we hear of an incident, there's a lot of media attention to the incident, and then the dust sort of settles, and at times we can either distance it out of our head, hoping that it won't happen again, and from a leadership standpoint, we might be doing the same thing, and that can be catastrophic for our team, for our company, if we don't have something in place. So I appreciate that so much. I think it's such a powerful message. Being aware that these things do happen, and not necessarily creating a culture of fear within our organization, but having a culture of prevention. And it's fantastic. I love this message. So let's kind of dive into that a bit more, that culture, Mike and Debbie. How does having a safety program, having that in place, the team is aware of it, our employees are aware of it, how does that help create a positive company culture? What are your thoughts, Mike?
Yeah, it's interesting that you asked that, Jonathan. And one of the things that I always talk about is this: the value and the assets of our employees, right? The value is really that's who they are. They're going to come to work. They're going to feel comfortable coming to work. They're going to engage. They're going to become more powerful employees. So I use the word empowerment, right? So what we're basically doing is we're giving our not only our organization, but we're giving our membership, our employees that we serve with, the autonomy, if you will, to become not only better employees, knowledgeable employees, but also good people within society. And I think that that goes a long way. I think the more that we empower them, the more they're going to step up and they're going to see a problem and they're going to try to solve problems because they're going to think that they're valued as an employee. So I think it's important that we recognize how this can spin in a positive way, both internally and externally from that organization. And then think about what services are going to be rendered back. So as an employee, I look at my employer cares so much about me and my family to have some strategy plans in place. But I think they need to be reminded sometimes. How often do we walk down the street and realize that, holy cow, I got it pretty good, and people are around me are really looking out for my best
Mm-hmm.
interests. So I think that that's a component that's beneficial in implementing programs because you talked about OSHA from the beginning, right? We got workplace violence, we've got,
Mm-hmm.
sexual harassment, we got all these different things in which we talk about. But do we really talk about active threat mitigation? And do we really talk about some of these conceptual things that can help prevent these things from even getting off the ground? So that's kind of my take on the importance of having a strategy in place.
Yeah, very nice. And I appreciate you and Pete being able to work with you over the years and your years of experience in in teaching people and being in those situations and helping so many different organizations across the country really capture the essence of safety and active threat mitigation. So I'm grateful to you and your organization for all the work that you do, and appreciate those amazing comments on how we just want to create that positive culture. Dr. Debbie, what are your thoughts when it comes to safety program and company culture? I know you've got a beautiful perspective as well.
Well, here's what I want to say about culture. And anybody that knows me knows my big means you need to write this down.
Yep.
And when it comes to culture, there's three important things that everyone needs to remember. Number one, trust. Can I trust you? Employees today want to know that there is a culture of trust. Number two, do you set a bar of excellence? What gets talked about is baked in to the conversations between all the team members. So, do you set a bar of excellence? Is safety being talked about every single day? And by the way, we know that when you have a best friend at work, that is significantly impactful on culture because and safety. It's one of the number one predictors of a strong culture when you have a best friend at work that you care about somebody. So number one, can I trust you? Number two, do you set a bar of excellence? And number three, do you care about me as a person? When you care about somebody, you show concern. You don't let them, uh, you know, go into a situation unprotected, whether
Mm-hmm.
it be, keying locks or lifting with, back brace. I mean, safety is something that we should all be talking about every single day. And I just want to share with friends, you may know this great mentor. he passed away in 2020, George Lane. And George Lane was an icon in our business. And he was so focused on safety, he gave all of the team members on the service team red hats. And every Thursday, the team, and this has been years and years ago, everybody knew that Thursday was Red Hat Day. And I reflect on that because it was a habit. And when we have habits, we can be stronger. And I think it's just so important. First we make our choices, then our choices make us. So we've got to choose to have a culture of safety.
For sure. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that little story about Mr. Lane also. Yeah, so many impactful leaders, and he definitely was one in our industry. So I love this conversation. I love that we've started this series out with an amazing just framework for our audience to really capture the essence of what they can do next. Like, this is a message that we're having a moment where we've educated ourselves. We're going to share this and educate our staff. We're going to look for opportunities that we can go to the next level and train our team members and develop that culture of safety. So Mike Weller from Intelligence Consulting Partners, thank you. Dr. Debbie from the Quadrillion, thank you so much for being on the show. And we're grateful to start this series off with this episode and look forward to more being published in the near future as we develop our topics together. So thank you for being on the show. Mike, how can people connect with you? You want to tell us a little bit about your organization, how people can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jonathan. First off, I want to thank both of you guys for taking the time and being a part of this important conversation, as you've already illustrated, right? I think that so many times we allow things just to sit on the desk, and we hope that it won't happen to us or something tragedy won't take place. Unfortunately, we're all plagued with crisis from time to time, and it's how we respond to that crisis, right? How we can internalize what it is that we need to do in order to have success, because unfortunately, these events aren't going away. Unfortunately, we're faced with a lot of mental health issues and crises, which is probably time for another podcast at that point, right? Mm-hmm. But the reality is, at this point, we've been doing this, myself and Pete, for well over 30 years. And that even dives back into our law enforcement days as well. And we decided that we were going to make some differences. We were going to make some changes. Reaching us via website is probably the easiest, and that would be at www.intelligenceconsultingpartners.com, ICP for short. But, that's the easiest way. In our bios and all the things that we do and provide, we go out and we try to partnership and make relationships. We don't see ourselves as subcontractors or contractors of stuff, but we try to be part of the family is what we'd like to be, and be a part of that foundation moving forward. So again, intelligenceconsultingpartners.com is probably the easiest way to get a hold of us.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. Dr. Debbie, how can people stay in touch with you, connect with you?
Yes, I want you to think about Debbie at the Quadrillion, not million trillion, but the Quadrillion. And you can also find me on Instagram at Dr. Debbie Phillips. But again, I'm just honored to be here, and I feel like I'm just, one of the supporters of what Mike and Pete have done and their body of work. So I have personally benefited from their counsel, and I just wish everyone to just increase your presence. Just be present. There's no substitute for being present and putting down the technology and living wholly and fully. So thank you, Jonathan, for this important topic.
Yeah, and thank you both. It's been an amazing and enjoyable conversation. I feel good. I feel safe. And I think I know our audience are going to walk away from this with some beautiful nuggets of information on what they can do today and in the future for not only for themselves, but for their loved ones and for their teams. So thank you both. We look forward to our future episodes. But until next time, thank you everyone for joining us on the Juvo Hub podcast. Take care.